Hello to all. So today we are making paneer butter masala. So these are the ingredients you will require in smaller quantities. This will make about two portions. So we start by adding a little oil in a pan. We make sure that the oil is hot. Then we add all our whole garam masalas like bay leaf, cinnamon, you have big elaichi, you have the small elaichi, peppercorns, cloves. Okay, so you have to make sure that the oil is hot so that all the essential oils, all the flavor from these hot garam masalas, it comes out to its maximum. Okay, we are using very little oil here because we don't want too much oil in the recipe. This is basically paneer butter masala, so you'd rather have more butter than have oil in the recipe. And why we are using oil here is because it heats up faster and it will help these garam masalas to give out its flavor more than butter, right? So we wait. Now we're using a very domestic kind of burner here, so the heating is not all that instant, right? But we see a little simmering happening here, right? So it's heating up, it's trying to burn up the garam masalas. So once you get a little whiff of all the masalas being roasted or fried, you add the roughly chopped vegetables that it was shown earlier, which include ginger, garlic, green chilies, you have coriander stems, you have dried red chili, okay, which are de-seeded. Then cashew nut. Now cashew nut, I'm being very generous here. You can put a little less, you can put char magas instead, or you can have a combination of cashew nut and char magas. So we're not trying to really saute these vegetables as such. The oil was only for the whole masala. So once we put cashew nut, we put the tomatoes, we just toss it around, we just turn it up and down, right? This is just to make sure that every ingredient in the recipe is, being cooked, being heated well. Once that is done, we've got some hot water which has been boiling for a while now. Now be sure that you use hot boiling water rather than cold water. Okay? So this is more like a stew. You don't put too less, you don't put too much. So this is just covering the vegetables, the ingredients rather. Okay, and you can leave it on a high flame till the water reduces. You can keep adding water every now and then if required, in case you feel that the tomatoes have not softened, right? So we just allow the water to boil now. We're waiting for that boil. Right, you see the amount of water, it is just enough to cover the ingredients. Right, everything is roughly chopped, only the whole garam masalas are sauteed, fried, right, just to give out the flavor, and that flavor of the masalas will get infused in the water along with the other ingredients, right? So we're just waiting for that boil to come. Once it comes up, if your flame is too high, you have to reduce the flame and keep it till the water reduces. Don't be in a hurry to boil it fast. Right, we are not here to, because Indian food, nothing can be made in an instant. Okay, Indian food takes time, it takes a lot of time and effort, right? So we see a lot of water has simmered now, a lot of water has evaporated at the same time, right? I mean, at this stage you can check your cashew nuts, you can check your tomatoes, you can check the red chilies if they are soft enough, because you want them to be soft enough to be ground to a very fine paste, right? So without effort, without too much time taken to grind it, and that can happen only when enough water is being soaked up. So now you're removing the whole masala, right? Especially the kali elaichi, the badi elaichi, and the bay leaf. The peppercorns and the other green elaichi, etc., that we added, we're allowing that to stay inside because that will enhance the flavor. These two being fibrous, too fibrous, you will get a lot of strands, splinters while you're eating the food. Right, so we've removed this. The next step would be to cool this mixture. Right, you put it in a steel plate or a plastic plate depending on how hot the mixture is, and make sure that it is not covered, it is open. Or you can take a larger plate, making sure that it's spread thin so that it cools faster. Right, and once it's cool, you put them in a mixer and you grind it to a very, very fine paste. Now this is the key here. It is very important that a fine paste is produced. Right, so once this is done, once this paste is done, now to make sure you get a little darker color, you can add little less cashew nuts, or you can take really red tomatoes. Right, so once that is, and again you take a pan, you heat some oil. Okay, not too high because now you're sauteing ginger garlic. Ginger garlic paste has a lot of moisture in it, so you will see a lot of spluttering happening here. The moment you put ginger garlic, a lot of moisture from that is released, and as a result, the oil and the water will start spluttering. Okay, ideally you should be taking a thick bottom pan here. A thick bottom pan ensures that there's not too much of heat which is being transferred to the ginger garlic paste. And also I'm not taking too much oil because I don't want it to be too oily. I'd rather have more butter. Okay, so a little more oil. You saute it well till your rawness, the raw flavor of the ginger garlic is gone completely. Okay, saute again on a low flame or a medium flame, making sure that it does not get stuck completely to the container. Saute well. You have to just keep an eye on making sure it doesn't get burnt, and also keep smelling whether the raw flavor, the raw aroma of that ginger garlic is completely removed. Once that is done, transfer the fine paste of tomatoes and cashew nuts into that same mixture. Right, whatever little bit you have left in the vessel, you will add some hot water to it because you have to later on adjust the consistency of the gravy. Okay, so this is not a sauce, this is a gravy, right? So always do this on a low flame or a medium flame, making sure that does not immediately start boiling or getting burnt. Right, now you see the consistency, the thickness. It is too thick. Now if you want to boil it or cook it, you have to make sure that it is slightly thin. Right, now there is no seasoning added at this stage. Seasoning happens only in the end. Right, so I'm adding a little hot water now. I'm adding a little hot water. Add a little hot water, make sure that the water is evenly mixed with the paste. Okay. Now normally in good hotel they don't put color. Okay. So this kind of gravy with a little light color is also acceptable, but a gravy with color in it is sometimes in good hotels, especially by good chefs, is not acceptable at all. Okay, so you have to put enough water so that it is of coating consistency. I wouldn't say very thin or thick. It is supposed to be of coating consistency. So you add a little water in the container in which you ground the entire masala, and you transfer it again into this mixture. Okay, be sure to take every ounce of it. Don't waste anything because it's got cashew nut. Right, so once that is done, you very gently make sure that the water is evenly mixed. Okay, now see the consistency here. Right, you see the spatula, See, the moment the spatula comes up, it is just coating it, not very thick, it's not very thin. Right? Now, ideally, you should be doing this in a thick bottom pan, which has got a wall, which has got walls around it. Okay? A big blob of butter to be added. The reason being that you have to use the thick bottom pan with walls is because when this gravy boils, it keeps spluttering all over the place. Thick gravies usually they'll start, it's like a volcano eruption. It just keeps coming out and just falls all over the place. Right? So you add butter. Since we are calling it paneer butter masala, the masala is ready. Now you have to add butter. If possible, you all can add white butter to it also. Right? Now this is nearly 1 to 1.5 portion. One portion normally serves 4 people. Okay, if had in moderate quantities. Right? Now the paneer. Now gone are the days when they actually used to fry the paneer and put it in these gravies. Okay, nobody does that anymore. But when you're putting paneer also, here at this stage I am just cutting the paneer and adding to the gravy. But if you want to make sure that the paneer does not look white in a red gravy, you can probably toss it in a little bit of, say, oil, maybe a little jeera, maybe a little haldi, so that when it mixes with the gravy, it blends into it. So it's not white pieces of paneer jutting out. Right? So this is literally boiled. The gravy is almost boiled. You will not see a lot of rogan. Rogan is the layer of oil that you see on top. You will not see that because we haven't added much of oil. Okay, and it is a very well thickened, well balanced, stabilized kind of a gravy. So you will not see most of the oil coming out as such. Also, there is no onion in this. That's another factor. So this is boiling now. Okay, the reason you boil it is so that you make sure that the acidity of the tomato is removed. So we've added some garam masala here. Okay, garam masala, you have to see what brand, what is the pungency, what is the potency of that garam masala, and accordingly you add to your gravies. This is kasuri methi, dried fenugreek leaves, which you have to crush by hand. So even if you're buying ready-made kasuri methi, you can still saute it a little bit so that it dries out completely. Because most of the time when you open the packet and you keep it in your own pet bottles, there are chances of moisture entering those leaves. So you can't crush them nicely. So always crush them. Again, the reason is so that all the essential oils, the flavors of the leaves come out. Okay, so we are allowing this to boil now. At this stage, you can season. You can put salt. You can put red chili powder. Okay, this is supposed to be a little rich and sweet gravy, but you can add little red chili powder as per taste. Here I am not tossing the paneer and haldi and jeera etc. I'm directly tossing them into the gravy. Okay, I will be boiling it with the gravy so that it tries to take up all the flavors of the gravy. It's very important. It should not be that when you're eating your paneer butter masala with a naan or something else, that your paneer tastes separate from the gravy. Okay, so a lot of boiling is required here, making sure that all the flavors stay inside the gravy. At the same time, it does not become too thick or too thin. Okay, just the right consistency. So since we have done a lot of theory classes on thickening agents, so I'm sure you have understood by now what is the thickening here, why this entire mixture has become thick. So a little sugar because paneer butter masala or butter paneer is slightly on the sweeter side. Okay, a lot of sweetness basically comes from the cashew nuts. Okay, I have put whole cashew nuts. You all should ideally put broken cashew nuts. Okay, broken cashew nuts are way cheaper than the whole cashew nuts. Okay, I couldn't get a smaller packet, so I had to buy those. Right, so this is seasoned now. See the consistency. You have to make sure that the paneer, it really soaks up all the flavor of the curry, of the gravy. So this is a portion bowl that we have in our institute. This particular bowl serves 2 people or at the most 3 people. Okay, I am filling it up to the brim, to the top level, so that 3 people can, you know, finish up the gravy with a little rice or probably naan. Okay, due to non-availability of cream, I had to finish this with coriander leaves, but usually it is cream which is put on top as garnish, right? So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope most of you all will try this now.